So that's been the week. But we've got Charles Heinzelman.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
This is one of the ones that I was super excited to do. Good friend of mine, and also the president of NIA, or Network in Action, which is a networking group that I had the pleasure of joining just in the very beginning of COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Before COVID actually even was a thing. Well, I'm sure it was a thing, but no one knew about it yet.
Yeah, the week before, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
You joined, and then the world shut down.
Something like that, yeah. And so I've been a member of NIA going on 4 years in just a couple months.
Yeah.
And this was my networking dad that brought me
Yeah.
all of the amazing referrals and everything that I've seen, the return on investment and everything that comes along with being a member of NIA. So tell us what NIA is, tell us what you do, and
Okay.
I've got questions.
I would be surprised if you didn't. I will say, the simplest put, because I mean, there's so many different levels of things, and it stands for Network in Action, NIA. And I really hate the name. I know that sounds strange, but I don't like the lead word is network, because everyone has this thought in their head of, oh, it's networking, and I'm gonna have a drink in one hand, business card in the other, and I just don't like that setup, because you have this preconceived notion of what's going to happen. I prefer to think of us more as a business solutions organization, where we are doing things such as masterminding, problem solving, relationship building. So it's not so transactional, taking out that transactional model, putting it into a relational model, which you hear a lot of, but I like to see it come to fruition that way. And then just naturally, an offshoot would be the networking component of that. So that's what Network in Action is. The reason I started it here in Central Austin is, first off, there was a big need for it. And then second, I think even more importantly, is I saw some shortcomings in some of the organizations I was in before, and said, hey, there's a need out here. So if there's a need, fill a need kind of thing.
Right. So in NIA, I know that you give them business solutions, all of that. Can we unpack that a little bit? Like,
Absolutely.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, good question there. I would say things such as, you're an entrepreneur, and you're out there, and you're on an island by yourself at times, and it's not a comforting place to be, just like you were talking about before. When you've got problems, who do you go to?
Sure.
And if you're just going to yourself, you can dig yourself a pretty big hole and tough to get out of. So what I like to say is, surround yourself with people who are like-minded, but have different experiences. They can lend to that problem solving with those different experiences. That's part of that masterminding opportunity. Marketing. Everyone hears marketing. What's it mean?
Right.
What's it look like to you, right? They say marketing. You could go anywhere in your head. Radio, TV, social media. What platform are you going to use? What are you going to market? Right? Is it you don't have to be sales. It's going to be branding. There's so many different things. It's just one of those words that is all encompassing there. But really getting your name out there, finding your client avatar. What I mean by that is, who's your ideal client? Not just anybody. Because if you say anybody, it really isn't anybody. But who is your ideal client? And then reverse engineer that to how do you get introduced to those people. And the best way to get introduced is to have somebody who knows that person.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to expand your network. Not just networking, but expanding in your horizon as far as your network goes. Leveraging the capability and the knowledge and the Rolodex, for those of the people who are a little bit older.
Right.
The Rolodex.
The database.
Yeah, the
data
database.
bank.
Yeah. Your contacts in your phone, if that's what you want to look at there, of those people, leveraging that and those opportunities.
That's what I've used it the most for, is the database. Is like, it is nice to not only have just, the people that are in my group, but for those that don't know, there's multiple groups out there. So, there's quite a few members, and not only just locally, but nationwide.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
It gives you an opportunity to, sit down, really look at what referral partners are good for you, what connections do you think are going to be, fruitful for you, and, making connections that way. So it's not just about the meeting, but one of the things that, because on this podcast, what we try to do is ultimately talk to people who are in entrepreneurial positions.
Right.
Try to keep it somewhat real estate related per se, and networking is a big thing that a lot of people say that they do, but then I have other people who are kind of like, because I'll say, do you network? Is that one way that you generate new business? And I'd say it's probably like a 60-40. 60% are like, yeah, I'm into it. 40% are like, it's not my thing. And the reason they say that it's not their thing is because they feel that it's awkward. They feel like it's uncomfortable to go to a meeting or go to a networking event where you don't know anybody and you're kind of like, hey, here, like you said, a drink in one hand and a business card in the other. And I guess my question to you is like, you've mentioned some of the, I guess, antics of what goes on in other networking groups. What does NIA do that you would say to somebody who's like, yeah, I feel unconfident in rooms, or I feel like almost nerdy doing something like that?
Sure. And I'll pick on a chamber. It's one that most people have gone to at some point in time. You go there, you're
like a chamber of commerce.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And you're going to sit at the table, probably surrounded by people you don't know. And you are expected to instantly engage in conversation with them.
Right.
So I can see the social awkwardness of that, and you haven't been trained how to do that.
Right.
Most people, they come from a different walk of life. For me, I'll use myself as an example here. I came from the corporate world. I spent probably a good 15, 17 years of my life just in the corporate environment. If someone said networking to me, what that really meant was I'm going to a conference, a trade show, some kind of organized event.
Sure.
And we would fly there. We would all stay at this resort hotel, vendors and the audience that they're geared toward all at once. And so you'd have the meetings during the day, you'd have your events going on during the day. And then what happens? About 4:30, 5 o'clock, everyone checks back into the hotel, they change, they go down, they all congregate at the bar.
Right.
They have a couple drinks, and then you're setting up your dinner meetings. Hey, who do I really want to get to know on a more, a deeper level, a more personal level? And so you do that. Well, what happens when you don't have that environment? It's kind of awkward to go and just hang out at a resort hotel by yourself looking to make connections. I mean, that's not a good way to network. So how do you do that? So you've got these mini events. BNI is an example, NIA is an example, Vistage is an example. There's a lot of examples out there looking, depending upon what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And with NIA, the way we do that is we introduce you to people. We sit you down, but we have organized discussions. We give you topics to talk about. Every meeting we have is going to be different. And it's going to be something that's going to be very engaging for you, something that's actionable for you, and something you can take away. Plus, I like to have that tangible asset when you leave, and the best tangible asset you can have is a potential referral partner.
Sure.
So we do a connection request at the end of each and every meeting.
Where the real magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely, right? That's what Anna always used to say. Where's the real magic happen? That's when you start developing those relationships. You do your one-to-ones you need outside that meeting itself. So at the end of the meeting, we have a connection request. You say, hey, I met Matt today. I would love to learn more about Matt. So what we do is we'll send you the connection information offline. We'll do an email, text, we'll share both of your contact information, and then it's up to you to set the meeting outside of there. And so, again, it's fostering more of that relationship, not just a transactional part of business.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so what do you feel is like the, obviously you have members come up to you and probably say, hey, I love this about NIA or that.
Sure.
What seems to be kind of like the rave review that is ongoing about NIA?
I always encourage individuals after the meeting or anytime to come up to me and say, give me constructive criticism.
Right.
Things you enjoy so we can continue with that, topics that you might like, or things that you would like to see changed a little bit. I would say there's a couple. One is we do a social media video shoot a day. We do it once a month. We bring in an individual who is a director there. He's in charge of Michael Belchain, you know him already.
He's the one that edits this show.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Flash Media Marketing.
Plug, right? Does a great job. He's very engaging, and we get a lot of positive reviews about him. He directs those social media videos. We have a high quality HD camera. I can't remember exactly what it is, like 7K or something. I don't know what it means. All I know is it shoots commercial grade quality video.
Makes you look real pretty.
It does. You look beautiful. Even if you don't, you do.
Yeah.
We usually have a cosmetologist there who will kind of pat you down a little bit so you're not all shiny on screen. Does the hair for
I
you.
didn't do my makeup today. You just reminded me.
Right? It's okay. Well, you wouldn't need to have your hair done either.
No, but I got it. buff this shiny head, man. You think I'm joking? You step right out there. Yeah. There's like a little pad with some powder. Man. By midday, it gets a little glossy.
Well, thank God for colder weather.
Yeah, right.
So, we'll do that to make you look good. And we'll shoot as many videos as you'd like in a 30-minute segment. Usually it's about 3, I think the most we've ever had is 11 done. You can do some, changes there. We have it professionally edited. We don't watermark anything. We give it directly to you. So you can utilize that on any kind of platform you want. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever that is.
And this is all part of membership.
Absolutely, it's part of membership. It's an add-on, if you will.
Right.
And to me, it's about being found. And we learned a big lesson during the pandemic is you have to be discoverable online. And if you aren't, you're probably not going to be in business for very long.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? That's what this podcast is all about. That's why I tell people you've got to get on here, and everyone goes, they start shoegazing. They're like, I don't know if that's my thing. I'm just like, well, it better be your thing because, again, you said it first. If you're not, what do we say? You want to be known. You need to, you want your clients to know you, like you, and trust you.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, that's in order.
Yeah.
Right? Known is number one.
Yeah. If they don't know you, how are you gonna do the other two?
You got to be out there, and in this day and age, with all the trolling and everything that happens, even if you're referred by someone else, they're probably going to research you on the internet before they even call you.
100%.
And if you can't be found, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't find a testimonial, nothing, a photo of you. I mean, this is how. Welcome to the new world.
100%. I mean, that's why Amazon has all those reviews out there.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna buy a product from Amazon, I'm gonna guess you probably read about the reviews before you order it.
Of course.
And I go down that rabbit hole all the time, and so I'm sure other people are like-minded. Maybe not to the degree I do it, but they probably do, and it's encouraged me to get a product, or it has discouraged me equally.
Right. So the add-ons is really what you're getting in terms of rave reviews from members. They're talking about add-ons, like social media help.
Sometimes the meeting content itself. Some of the bigger meetings that we've had that we break down to discussions, and it's not just one big table. We'll break down into groups of 4 to 6. So if you're scared of big groups of 30, 40 people at one time and having to speak in front of a large audience like that, I understand. Your audience is going to be probably 4 to 6 people there, so you can have a more intimate discussion.
Sure. And
I would say the 2 or 3 big ones that we had that I got a lot of positive feedback for was, what's your why? And I think you were talking about that one time before, one of the initial ones we did. It's why you do what you do.
Yeah.
And it's not just to make money, it's what makes you passionate about what you do. And some of the stories you would hear were very motivational, very emotional, and nothing encourages people to develop a stronger relationship with somebody is when they let their guard down.
Sure.
And they expose their emotions to you.
I just want to tell my parents, you were wrong. That's my why. You hear that, Mom and Dad? You were wrong. Look at me now. Look who's got the dough.
There you go. I like that. The competitive, out there, the show, tell me I can't and I will.
There you go.
I like
That's
that.
actually not my why. I just think a lot of people feel that way. Felt like that would resonate.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Sometimes even if you have a great relationship with your parents, you still want to make other people proud.
I like winning, man.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And I won't even talk about the football games right now. I'm a Bears fan. I don't even know what winning is like.
Yeah, well, I mean, Browns, man. We look good this year.
Your defense looks good.
Yeah, and
if you had a consistent quarterback right now.
Who's the running back for Tennessee?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, there's murmurs of that trade.
Yeah.
He might be going with Browns.
Well, I hope he's on a short term because what is he, 29, maybe 30?
Yeah,
usually the drop.
I would envision it's probably to take care of the lack of what we're getting because
Chubb's out, and you have a backup's backup for quarterback right now.
Yeah, an XFL quarterback.
Right? So, but it's okay. But winning is nice, and you're still winning.
We are.
Imagine
That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's 100%.
I don't care what calls the refs give us.
Well, yeah, it goes both ways sometimes.
Right? Yeah. No shit.
Yeah.
As a Browns fan.
So that one was a big one. I would say also when we do a lot of collaborative work, where they can actually work together in a group. One of the ones I'm excited about coming up is actually using the hot topic out there, which is ChatGPT, your AI, but using it to help create your own creativity. We're going to be focusing on finding referral partners for people that they didn't know were referral partners.
Gotcha.
Using ChatGPT for that. And then also using it for joint marketing ventures of people that you wouldn't expect as well.
I like this.
You think about a mortgage person.
Yeah.
Who's your strongest referral partner?
I mean, a real estate agent, but
100%, but who else?
I mean, do you want the answer? There's
Absolutely.
quite a few. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about divorce attorneys, financial advisors, CPAs. Another good one is, believe it or not, like hairstylists.
Sure.
Women are in a chair for hours on end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually, we had a guest on here, Heidi Stein, who was working for Honest Lash.
Okay.
And we're talking about doing a collaboration, and I'd love to get in front of some of the estheticians, I think is what they're called.
Mm-hmm.
Forgive me, I don't get my lashes done, so if I'm wrong,
But they're beautiful.
I
You
don't
don't need
hear
to
the
get them done.
comments.
Yeah.
But I feel like they would be another good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
But to your point, I think that most agents that do what I do are just immediately like, okay, it's just real estate agents,
Mhm.
and they don't see the,
Yep.
the other businesses or business types out there that they can leverage.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone dives as deep as you do. They go more
Right.
wide, not deep. And you go a lot deeper there as well. I know one of your strong referral partners also happens to be property and casualty agents. And so, again, you dive deep like that. Not everyone has done that. And sometimes it opens up new venues. You go into your point, especially with women, they are very attached to a couple individuals. Obviously, they're OBGYN. If they change insurance, they like to make sure that OBGYN, that's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
That's on the plan.
It's a dirty job, someone's got to do it.
Not gonna touch that one. And then you also have their hair person.
Yeah.
I mean, they will stick with their hair person for a long period of time.
Nails
Because-
too.
Yeah, nails, hair person, lash person,
Yeah.
doing their lashes, because they share intimate details. And it goes right back to what I said before, is making yourself vulnerable to other people and then being vulnerable back. You share stories. You're sitting there for hour to 3 hours, depending on what you're having done, and you're talking about your personal life, what's going on in your world, your business. And so you've developed that strong relationship. You know them, like you said.
Yep.
You trust them because you're sharing this here, and obviously you like them. You keep going back, so it just feeds right into it.
So it all seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, why doesn't everybody that is operating in any sort of business do this? And I would envision, you run into people on a semi-regular basis, you let them know what you do, and then they kind of go, well, they're either in or they're out. So what seems to be some of the objections that you're getting from business owners that are successful,
Mhm.
right? That they're like, yeah, I'm not interested.
Sure, and there's quite a few, as I'm
Right.
sure you can imagine. The current environment out there dictates part of it.
Mhm.
They could be successful, but they're just struggling, or they're just hoarding cash right now because they're not sure what's going to happen in the marketplace, the economy, and so.
But how does that create a objection for you
Mm-hmm.
as to why I here, we'll use me as an example.
Sure.
Let's just pretend I'm not an NIA.
Okay.
And we are having this conversation and you're telling me everything that NIA has to offer and you're like, you know what, Matt, I think this would be a really good fit for you and here's why. All of the reasons that you've just given as to
Yeah.
what people are doing. And I say, Charles, you know what, I don't think it's my thing. What objections are you getting
Mhm.
for business owners that they're saying, this isn't for me?
Mhm.
And how are you handling those to basically be like, you know what, let me explain why you may be thinking about it the wrong way.
Sure. Cost.
Cost.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at before, is the cost. It's like, hey, I don't know if I want to spend the money because, and I think part of it goes to worry about the future.
Mhm.
Maybe they're successful, but even successful people, sometimes the current economic events can make it a little bit more difficult for you. And as such, you say, well, the first thing I'm going to do is start cutting expenses. And so they've got an expense out there. They see this as an expense, but
Mhm.
that's the time you have to market the most.
Agreed.
Is because that's where you really got to start diving a lot deeper versus just wide. Sometimes they don't see the value in that as far as the dollar goes. But if that is not the concern, the cost, which makes sense to me. And I don't try and pressure anyone to do it. I just say, hey, here's the opportunity. If you want to learn more about it, great. If not, that's okay too. We're adults. That's okay. I would say more so than the money, if they do have the resources available to them.
I was gonna say hypothetically, even if it was free, and maybe
Yeah.
you haven't thought
Sure.
about this, but what percentage of those people that even if you were like, you know what, forget it, it's totally free, still wouldn't come?
I actually, that's funny you ask that.
Because
I think there's
that's just
people
the
I
nature
would
of it.
actually, 100%. There are people out there I could write a check to, hand it to them, and they say, no, I'm okay.
Right.
You know, taking it that much further.
So I'm giving you some pushback on the money thing. I think that's the knee-jerk kind of reaction. I don't think that's really...
Well, no, but I think that's what they would say.
Sure.
And a lot of people are like, okay, that's where it stops. The conversation stops.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that just tells me they don't see the value in it. They don't see the opportunity. I didn't do a good enough job of explaining what we do.
Right, because time is money, and in their mind,
Absolutely.
my time is not worth this, even if it was free.
Right. Or even if you paid me.
Or even if you paid.
Yeah. That's part of it there. So it's about the value.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things we do as far as value goes. It's just whether we're communicating properly on that. Because I can say something, what you hear could be completely different in your head than what I hear in my head when I'm saying it to you. So communication on that is very important. Some people just don't want to go to a meeting. It's just not what they want to do, no matter what it is. Some people go in and they are sales. I'm sure you've met people like that.
Of course, yeah.
Especially if you go to any kind of events out there. They come in and the first thing they want to do is sell you something. Those aren't going to be the members that we want to pursue anyway, but a lot of times we don't encourage that. We actually discourage that in our meetings. And our meetings are set up to really prevent that.
Sure.
So they may not join because they go, this isn't for me, because I don't have the opportunity to sell somebody. I came here because I want to give you a business card, talk to you about what I do. I don't even know what you do, but I know what I do, and you're going to know what I do by the end of this meeting, and you're going to follow up with me because you need what I have. And
I actually have a theory about that when it comes to networking.
I would be surprised if you did.
So, in lending, we say the hardest time to get a loan is when you need one.
Sure.
Right? And what we mean by that is that a lot of times when people are financially sound and they're doing well and payments are good, they aren't thinking like, could I actually better my financial situation, or maybe now is a good time to buy a home? People tend to be reactive, right? And especially when people are trying to like do consolidation loans, right? They call us up, all their credit cards are maxed out. They're like, I need help financially. And of course, their credit scores are lower. They're taking a higher interest rate. They're like, when is this gonna close? And it's like, why didn't you call us sooner, right? And the response is always, well, I didn't feel the pain yet, right? Because if they would have called us earlier, their scores would have been in the 700s, like, because that's the line I get to hear every day, like, Matt, my scores used to be so much higher. It's like,
sure.
Yeah, great. You know, I used to have hair. With that being said, I feel like sometimes in NIA, what people do is they don't want to do the networking, they don't want to do the work, they don't want to create the relationships because at that time, they're okay. And by the time they go, oh my God, I need to do something. I need a paycheck. I haven't sold anything. I haven't created relationships. Things are tightening up, and my boss or whoever is breathing down my neck. Now they're in a networking group, and they're like, "Here, I want to give you my card. I want to tell you what I want to do," because they need a sale, like right away. And unfortunately, or fortunately, that's not how networking works.
Right.
And so I would encourage all of the entrepreneurial people out there that are in sales or own their own businesses. It's like when you're fed and when you're busy, I think networking is when you really double down. Because if you're desperate and you're going into it with the intention that you're going to, because that's the rebuttal I get from time to time when I talk to people about it. They're like, I went to a couple of networking events and like I didn't get anything out of it.
Right.
Like, what do you mean? Like, I talked to a few people, I handed out some business cards, I followed up, didn't get any sales, it was a waste of my time, and I'm thinking, so you went to 3 networking events and nothing came to fruition. Like, there's very few things you can do a couple times and actually see results. Like, I went to the gym 3 times this week, I feel like I look fatter. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm working on it is what I'm trying to say, right? And, you can't buy a Peloton and lose weight. Like, you have to
get on it. Yeah.
And I feel like networking is the same way. And so back to your point of, people that are very salesy, I think it's like you should have been here 6 months ago.
Right. You don't know people. Going back to what you said, know, like, trust. Same thing. How are you going to get to know somebody if you go into that situation? You come across very transactional at best.
Yeah.
Perhaps reeking of commission breath.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
They come across and all they wanted to see.
Yeah.
So you can smell it on their clothing and their breath. Everything they do is just like, this person's trying to sell me something. And the funny thing I've noticed in my life is Americans, we love to buy.
Yeah.
I mean, you just talked about credit card debt. Why do we have credit card debt? We like to buy things, but we hate to be sold.
That's true.
So you see a lot of that. People are trying to sell. Don't sell. People will buy from you if they know, like, and trust you, just like you said before. But at the same point in time, these people who go once, twice, 3 times, they're not giving themselves the chance.
Yeah.
And to me, it goes back to the fable about the ant and the grasshopper, right? Grasshopper's out there having a good old time. He just eats whenever he comes across food, living his best life all during the summer. What's the ant doing? What ants typically do? They are working. They're out there, blazing a trail, bringing food back to the hive. Then what happens? Winter comes. Food is scarce. Grasshopper's starving. The ants are living their best life now.
And then the grasshopper starves and the ants eat
Eat
them.
'em. Yeah, circle of life right there, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. You've got to be busy when times are good, so that when times are bad, winter time, you're okay. You've already got your relationship set up, and you can leverage those.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to the mortgage industry, times are a little tight right now, and if you were counting solely on real estate agents and the transactions are fewer and fewer,
Yep.
You went wide. You didn't go deep.
I was very much prepared for what we are experiencing right now. Frankly, I can't believe it didn't happen sooner.
Right? But you did all the hard work.
Yeah.
You were the ant in that situation.
For sure.
And that's what people need to do. But at the same time, you got to surround yourself with the right people as well. A lot of times people will go into different versions of networking out there, and you're going to come across people just like that. And if you got a whole room of transactional people, that's not who you want to surround yourself with. Matter of fact, I actually did some homework here for this. I know you would like this. And I've got
A
some
room full of
stats.
transactional people sounds like a sales orgy.
Oh, it's right? It sounds awful. And ugh. But
I mean that in a bad way.
yeah, right.
Those of you that are like, that sounds crazy.
Orgy, yeah. I know I threw this to you before. Is ferrum acquit ferrum, which is Latin, and I love that there for iron sharpens iron. So you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, but not just identical people, clones of yourself. You need to surround yourself with people who are like you, thriving for something more, that are going to help elevate your game. And we've all heard this adage. I think it's been attributed to Jim Rohn, which is you are the 5 people you hang out with.
I like to say, show me your friends, I'll show you
Your future. Yeah, that's the other derivative of that right there. And I want to go a little bit deeper than just that, because to me, I think it depends on not just who you're hanging out with, but why you're hanging out with that person as well.
All right,
You're going to do a little bit more into the why, and I love that why. I love Simon Sinek talking about, give me your why, tell me why you do what you do, the passion, and that's where you're going to get me, being your biggest advocate. So to me, it's about the why, and why are you hanging out with this person here? To go a little bit onto that, I dove into this a little bit last night, and I was looking at some different studies, because if I'm hanging out in a room that's going to help elevate me, that's great when I'm in that room. But what happens when I leave that room? Am I still surrounding myself with the right people or not? Or am I just doing it in business, or am I doing it my entire life? Because the why has to be my entire life. I want to elevate myself on a personal and on a business level. Is there some methodology to that? Is there any scientific data to that? I figured you would like this.
I'm ready. I know
Here we
me, I
go.
love facts.
The Framingham Heart Study, which is one of the largest and the longest studies that we've done and collected data ever. They went back and they were looking at it not just from a physical standpoint, but also on an attribute standpoint.
Okay.
And Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler, they dove deep into some of the researchers there. They dove deeper, and what they found was this: you are not only the people you hang out with, but you're also the people that those people hang out with.
Okay.
And the people that they hang out with. It goes 3 deep.
Sure. I can see that.
And I don't even need to know the people you hang out with for it to affect me. And this really struck me. I found this really interesting. according to their results, when they were looking at this data here, if a friend of yours becomes obese, you are 45% more likely to gain weight over the next 2 to 4 years.
Wow.
I mean, think about it. If you and I are hanging out and you put on a few pounds, I'm probably going to put on a few pounds.
That's what
Why?
it is. You make excuses or concessions.
Yeah, that's okay. Or you're going out to the same places and doing the same things.
Right.
We're hanging out every time we're getting chicken wings and drinking beer.
Man, that sounds good.
It does. I know, I should have eaten before I came in here. That doesn't surprise me. Here's where it gets more surprising. If a friend of yours is obese or becomes obese,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even need to know that person. I only need to know you. And my chances of getting obese over that same time frame, 2 to 4 years, increases by 20%.
Wow.
I don't even need to know that person. Just because you hang out with that person, I hang out with you. Then take it one step further. If that person hangs out with somebody that I don't know either of them, and you don't know that third person, my chance of becoming more obese increases by 10%.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, it's a community.
Yeah. It's just you are who you hang out with, but they are who they hang out with, and they are who they hang out with. And it's not just in business, it's in personal.
I really
Like
get
your personal
start
life.
losing your hair.
No, me too.
I'm sorry.
Maybe you'll start growing some.
You know what?
Good.
Good on you.
Positive.
Yeah, I dig
Coming
that.
back with a positive.
I dig that.
And it's not just about weight. That's something you may or may not be able to always control.
Sure.
It can go to, example, smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. If my friend smokes, 61% chance more likely that I will start picking up the habit as well. If you have a friend and I don't know that person, 29% more likely that I will start smoking. And if it's in the tertiary, the friend of a friend kind of thing, 11%.
Wow.
Happiness. Obviously, if you're happy, I'm probably going to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're friends, you know. If you're sad, I'll probably be sad with you. A very empathic kind of relationship there. If you have somebody that is happy,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to know them. I have 11% more likelihood, or 11% chance more likelihood of becoming happy as well. And you're like, happy, what does that really mean? Well, if I had a $10,000 pay raise, that would only increase my happiness quotient by 2%.
Wow.
So that puts it in perspective. It's who you surround yourself with, not just in business, but in your personal life as well. It all bleeds together. And as much as people want to separate, work from their home life, you can't. Even if you can in an outward expression, you can't on an internal expression.
Well, you know what they say.
What?
The key to life is happiness in your household.
Absolutely. Happy wife, happy life, happy husband.
That one went over your head, huh?
No, I'm just trying to deflect because in case somebody watches and listens to this, I got to say things like that as well. But that's self-preservation, my friend.
I like it. I like it. Go on.
Good. And then this I found interesting. Do you know who Ed Milet is?
No.
He's big on YouTube. He made a lot of money. If you saw a picture of him, you'd recognize him. He's a big guy. He's got a big head. He's pretty buff.
Like a TED Talk type of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
and almost, he looks like he'd hang out with Grant Cardone. He made a lot of money in real estate investing, things like that. And he said something that I thought was so impactful. And I want to make sure I got it right. One of the most expensive things you could ever do is pay attention to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is so true.
Well, we talk about it on here, talking about are you qualified to give advice?
Yeah.
Right? And because if you're not qualified to give advice, then really all you're doing is giving opinions, right? And we see a lot of people, especially in my line of work, that take advice from friends, from family, from coworkers about things in real estate, about, things financially, and it's like, well, here's what my dad thinks, and not only does he know more about my job in terms of loans than I do, he's also a home inspector.
Yeah.
He's also a real estate agent, and I think to your point, it's imperative that if you are going to be taking advice, you need to understand: are you receiving advice from someone who's qualified to give it, or are you just getting people's opinions? Because those are two entirely different things. The line that I've always used is, I can give opinions and I can do research on hair care products, right? But am I really qualified to give advice on hair care products? The answer is no, right? I don't use the conditioners and shampoos and the argan oils. And
I've always been curious about that. Do you need to condition the top of your head at all?
Dude, I
Or
use
is
bar
it-
soap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious how you clean it. I
Straight
mean,
up
do you use
bar
shampoo
soap.
even if you're bald? I've
No,
always
waste
wondered.
of money,
Okay.
man. Waste of money. This is just another layer of skin. Like,
Dove 99, 100's pure.
I mean,
right
I
on top
like
of the head.
I do enjoy my fancy soap, but it's
Yeah.
bar soap and it goes everywhere, including my head. So
I was curious. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if you worked up a good lather on top or not.
I mean, I do. It gets greasy up there, man.
Yeah.
Even though that's the thing. Everybody gets oils in their hair. I don't have any of that, so like it just kind of sits there and forms like a layer, man. I typically shower twice a day.
Yeah.
Not just cause of that, but the point I'm trying to make is when I do, it's like I get in there, I'm like, man, I got a little greasy today. it's a thing. It's a thing.
I believe it. That is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm now walking away with some more knowledge.
See,
That's
bald life.
great.
Gentlemen, public service announcement too. I've been saying this for years. I started going bald at 19. Basically just, went, just went for it. Started
Yeah.
shaving my head when I was 19 years old. And I see some of y'all out there just fighting the good fight. Listen, nobody cares. Women don't seem to really care. You look ridiculous with your thinning hair. I know what you're doing. You're fluffing it around. You're using your Nioxin shampoos and all that other stuff. Like, just let it go, man. Let it go. The only person who cares is you and, well, probably like your two best friends. They can't wait to fucking razz you. When you shave your head. But fuck them, like that's who cares? So.
They're probably the ones with the big bald spot in the back.
Oh yeah, I actually, my best friend is that guy. He's got
Yeah.
a huge bald spot in the back, but just like everything's good in the front. It's like he's oblivious to it. 'Cause
Sure.
I guess out of
he
sight,
doesn't
out of
see
mind,
it.
right?
Yeah. So just own it is what you're saying. Right?
Yeah, man, just own it. Like, it's not that big a deal. I can't get over the amount of women, because I literally have even like asked people, and I would say I'm gonna use the 80-20 rule. Like 80% of women, don't get me wrong, it's not like they're chasing down bald men, like they've got a fetish for it.
Yeah.
But like 80% of women really don't give a shit, and I've very rarely run into women who are like, I would never date a bald guy. Like
Yeah.
it's just not a thing. So.
See, I'm gonna be honest. I'm slightly envious because you can get up in the morning, go to the gym. You know,
There's a lot less
Yeah,
maintenance. But I do have to shave my head. Like, I try to shave my head at least every 2 to 3 days.
Mhm.
And of course, doing it that often, you get really, really good at it.
Sure.
But it is nice to not have to go to a barber or anything along those lines. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm cutting my hair way more than a guy that doesn't cut his hair. But then you gotta style it and all this other
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know which is better. But sorry I derailed on that.
Oh, no,
Was there
that's
anything else
great.
you wanted to finish in regards to,
I forgot what we were talking.
we were
about.
talking about the people that you hang around with. And,
Yeah, just
how
elevate
they
your
can-
game,
how they
and
can affect you.
and that doesn't matter if you have hair or not.
Right,
You know?
exactly.
You just gotta elevate your game, and that's what I'm excited about. Because I'm actually, and I know I've discussed this with you, ad nauseum. I want to create a, there's different echelons, I should say, of grouping and networking.
Mhm.
And my focus going forward is I really want to start a high performance group.
Sure.
And I don't want to sound elitist, but it is.
Well, no, I think what you're saying is like a high performance in terms of people who have kind of already graduated past the point of basic networking. They understand how, we talked in the very beginning
Yeah.
about people who are like shy and networking's not my thing. Like getting them into a high performance group right off the rip
Mhm.
it would be like putting me in the NBA.
Okay.
It's not going to go well, right? Like
I don't know what your outside game's like.
it's
you know?
terrible.
Okay.
Let's just say that. And I'm 5'11", so like
Yeah.
I don't. Well, we could go into that. But the point I'm trying to make is like you suit me up and put me on a basketball court in the NBA, I'm going to get trounced, right?
Mhm.
Same thing for like the elitist group, right? Like so, I like where you're going with it, but I don't think it's like elitist. It's
Yeah.
It's
Well, I don't want it to come across that way.
yeah, it's just more graduated.
Yeah, more graduated. It's the individual who's graduated from college,
Mm-hmm.
is pursuing their MBA, their PhD, their JD, whatever that is. They want bigger, greater things, but they need a different type of grouping. They need a different 5 plus people to hang out with. They don't need individuals who are brand new in their career
Right.
or maybe even 5 years into their career. They need somebody who's gone through some of the learning experiences, the ups and downs. They don't need somebody who's only been in an upselling market like in real estate. They need somebody who's seen 2007 to 2010.
Right.
Someone who's going through these experiences. They know how to handle it like we're going through right now. They've seen it, they've been there, they've done it, and they know how to prepare for it. They can see the early warning signs, and they say, you know what, like you, this is coming. I'm not sure exactly when, I'm surprised it took as long as it did, but I'm prepared.
So creating a group like that, for example, in addition to the other groups that already
Mm-hmm.
exist in NIA, maybe I can capture some of the people that maybe that's their objections sometimes when they're, we talked about value. They're like, the people that are in these groups, they're newer business owners, I was there and we're not trying to tease anybody who isn't that, you gotta start somewhere.
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of the person that you're looking for?
That's part of the criteria. I'd say the other part is they haven't reached the pinnacle of their career yet.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I'm not saying they're not at the top of their game. It's just they want more.
Yeah, they're still growing.
Yeah, and I love that because I want to grow until the day I die, personally and business wise. So I want somebody who is always hungry.
Charles, I'm pretty sure you're gonna live forever. You'll figure it out.
Man, I don't know. I feel like I've been falling apart this year, but duct tape and some W-40, and I'll be okay.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
But something like that, and I learn as much from people like that. Like hanging out with you helps elevate my game in so many different ways.
Right. Well, thank you for saying that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not just saying it because I'm on your podcast. I'm saying it because we're dear
Yeah.
friends, and I enjoy your company, and I like how you treat your business, and it encourages me to be better at what I do. And that's why I think surrounding yourself with people that are like-minded but not identical to you is so important.
Well, speaking of your business, I'm glad you brought that up because that was literally going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Is that, at the end of the day, there's no secret. NIA, we've talked about all that it has to offer. We've talked about everything that it can do to help business owners and all of those things. But it is for you a business.
Sure.
And one of the questions that I always ask, because this seems to resonate with all other business owners, like right now, what seems to be one of the bigger obstacles that you currently have that you're working out, and maybe that we as other entrepreneurs can resonate with?
From a business standpoint.
Yeah, from the business side of things.
Yeah, there's a variety of things come to mind.
Mhm. Give us a win,
yeah.
maybe.
Okay, yeah, right? You make the win?
Yeah, give me the win.
Okay. I will say, you gotta put my kid gloves on this one here. Dealing with people.
Mhm.
If you're in an industry where you deal with people, I say dealing with people and you automatically, someone or some interaction pops into your head, right? And it's probably
any
negative.
business owner has to deal with people.
Yeah, and if I say deal with people, I'm gonna guess the first thought in your head is not a positive one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not deal with people. Oh yeah, I love this experience. No, you're like, oh man, this person was an a-hole or whatever word you'd like to. This is PG rated, right?
Yeah, it's R-rated at times.
All right,
You're welcome to say whatever you like.
Yeah, if my parents see it, I don't want them to say anything, or my kids.
Yeah, we don't have a button
Yeah.
that we're gonna beep or anything.
Yeah. That's who you think of. You immediately goes to that negative, and we are wired to think of negatives first.
Sure.
And I hate that. I'm an optimist, but I'm a realistic optimist.
Mhm.
I don't, just hope. I hope, but then I'm like, what's going to get me there? And then I'm a big fan of reverse engineering. If I want this,
Yeah.
what do I need to do? What are the steps to get me there? And how do I work that back? Same thing. And so I would say dealing with people, especially right now, because people are so negative.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
it's just,
the economy and
yeah,
things like that.
whatever. It could be anything. They're having a bad day at home, They're sometimes with their dog. And there's some things out there that make sense. If someone's sick and ill or things are happening, I get it. Be empathetic.
Any tips or tricks on how you deal with people?
I always like
Take it to the train station?
Yeah, sometimes, right? Yeah, the bridge. I would say what's worked best for me is if I can see somebody spiraling down and it's gonna have a conversation you gotta hit the pause button.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just take a second. Is this really what's bothering you? Because it sounds like there's something else out there. So let's just remove business from the conversation. What's going on with you?
So like empathy.
Yeah, just stop, go, pause.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with you? What's going on?
Right.
What's happening? What's going on? And then It's amazing how all of a sudden you can just see their focus was here. They just had a bad experience. You're talking about customer service,
Yeah.
right? Nothing winds me up more than going through 8 or 9 voice response units, finally getting to who I pushed the right button, push 2 to talk to this department, push 3 to here. I pushed all the buttons. Listen, push 9 so you can hear the selections again. I'll push 9 and double check because I'm slightly OCD to make sure I'm at the right department. As soon as I get there, oh, you need this other department. Well, I'll push this button to get you. Yeah, but we're the rollover. So if you can't get them, we get this. Why do you even have that? Why does that exist? Because now you're sending me back into the queue. I got to wait again.
Yeah.
And then you get hold of somebody, and then I know it's happened to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You get disconnected,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to go through that process all over again. I get so wound up, and if somebody comes up to me at that moment, and they have something I don't want to deal with, and they come up and they talk to me, then what's going to happen? I'm going
You're gonna
to
snap like a grizzly bear.
Absolutely. I'm human, right?
Right.
You know, I'm going to take this anger I have over here and I'm going to project right on them.
Yeah.
Do they deserve that? Absolutely not.
Right.
Do I feel better about it? No. Afterwards, I feel horrible about it. And guess what I just did to them? I just ruined that relationship right there. Now I've got to make amends to that person. And as soon as I do that, in the back of their mind for a period of time, they're going to have what I did right there.
Yep.
So what I try and do is say, hey, I realize you're projecting on me right now something that I probably didn't deserve,
Mhm.
but you need to vent. So I think you and I did this the other day. You're like, are you venting or are you looking for a solution?
I ask people that all the time,
And
man.
that
You
is
never know.
Great advice, especially for your spouse, because sometimes they,
It's anybody.
yeah, right? Sometimes people just want to vent. They
Yeah.
don't want a solution, and if you try and give them a solution, they get angry.
Right.
So that just take that same kind of knowledge and just think, hey, if I was in their shoes, what would I need? Hit the pause button. Hey, he sounds really upset right now. Just put this aside. We can get back to this in a minute.
Yep.
What's going on? Tell me what's going on. You know, and mean it too. I mean,
Sure.
really care. And they will open up. And you know what that does? 180.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, you know what? You're the person to listen to them. You care about them. They trust. Remember, they let their guard down. They're more emotional. They trust you. And this stuff over here that they had a problem with, they're like, no, that wasn't my problem. It was this. But I didn't like this, but I really came at you with the hammer because this really is what bothered me.
Right.
And it's not easy to do. Because when they come attacking, the first thing we all do is get really defensive, right?
Yeah.
And then we counterattack. It's like, boxing, like you do. Someone throws that punch, what are you doing? You're dipping or you're blocking, and then you're countering.
It's something in my business I identified years ago that I've gotten really, really good at. People will find things out about their situation, whether it's with their loan or real estate, and they'll fire off text messages or emails that are just kind of nasty to me. And what I've gotten really, really good at is, because I used to just immediately respond to emails or text messages or even phone calls.
How many of those do you wish you could?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, not only my response, but
Mhm.
dealing with somebody who is on the offense is also. So what I typically will do
Because
is
they've got that agitated state of mind still.
right. So what I'll typically do, this actually just happened to me the other night. I got a late text about a situation, and the client, was pretty combative in a text message, and the old me years ago would have responded, because in my mind I'm like, customer service is number one, I need to respond. I was like, nope, this is gonna wait until the morning. It gave me an opportunity to not be so reactive. I'm confident it gave the client the opportunity to calm down, and we had a really good conversation the next day, and everything worked out. Where I just know if I would have gotten on top of that, message right away, we both probably would have reacted in ways that just are unnecessary.
Yeah, because nothing you say at that time is going to change their state of mind.
Right.
The state of mind they're in is the state of mind
It's
they're
like
in.
telling
at that
someone to
moment.
calm down.
Oh yeah, that works out well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can count on.
Next
Yeah.
time your girlfriend's mad at you, just tell her to calm down.
Yeah,
Works
she
like a
will.
charm.
She listens
Yeah.
100% of the time. 100% of the time. But yeah, it's just you got to talk to people in the state of mind that they're in, or wait for that state of mind to be in a better state of mind to get your point across.
Yeah, sometimes time
Cause
calms
a lot
people
of
down.
state of minds, right? Yeah, and I think worst case scenario is their state of mind's gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
They might still be upset, but they're not gonna be as agitated
Sure.
or in that firing off mode. Plus, you were talking about you get a text or an email, how often do we read our current emotional state into that email,
Oh,
into
yeah.
that text?
Well, and that's the other part of it. It's like, I'm a big, call it old school or whatever. I mean, I personally.
Pick up that phone?
Yeah, I pick up the phone, and even if it's real, like, I think it's something real serious and people, client-wise are really frustrated, I even try to meet in person or through Zoom.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose of this podcast. I am mind blown by the amount of people that when they book on this podcast and I kind of like call them just to check in, they're like, oh, it's going to be on Zoom, right? They think
Really?
that, oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is that like we're
They haven't
gonna
watched
do-
it then, have they?
Thank you.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, I mean, what do they got these at home?
I want as many people on here that are real estate related on this podcast, public service announcement, but please do me a favor. Like, number one, watch the freaking show before
Yeah.
you book. Like, just take a look at it, see what we're doing. Because a lot of times people call me, they want to ask me 900 questions. Like, there's over 50 podcasts that we've done.
Mhm.
50, 50. Like, the amount of footage and just, just media that is out there about this podcast, it's everywhere. So please, do the research, check it out. There's no reason to call me and ask me any questions. You're going to get more, and I'm really, really good about, researching who's coming on. I typically have done a little bit. I've tried to check out your Facebook. I know what you do. I've got questions and everything. But the point I'm trying to make
You did
here,
your homework. You expect them to do theirs.
well, yes, but the point I'm trying to make is we're talking about being in, heated situations and dealing with people.
Right.
And I'm surprised at the amount of people that think that this is going to potentially be a virtual podcast. And the reason I refuse to do that is because I've done them before, not on my show, but just in general in my life. And there is no supplement for sitting, looking at someone in the face, having a conversation in the real world or the simulation that we're currently in, whatever
Sure,
you believe. Because looking at text messages, emails, even phone calls, I feel like aren't as good as a Zoom call, and which is not as good as actually seeing somebody face to face, which I know sometimes in our business is becoming less and less, and kind of makes me sad sometimes.
I would agree. I mean, when we were forced to go to Zoom during the pandemic.
I hated it.
I did too. And then we came out of it and we did the hybrid. And I hated that more because you've got some in 3D and then some on your 2D.
Right.
And there's a difference. I mean, if you're 2D and you're watching everyone else in 3D, you feel like you're missing out.
I'm not paying attention to anybody in 2D when I'm in 3D.
All right.
No,
Yeah.
you're in
And you
NIA,
forget about
so-
it. Oh yeah, there they are.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, sorry, didn't need to do this.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
And I think that carries through even if you're both on a Zoom call. I mean, let's be honest. I'm on a Zoom, you're on a Zoom, and something else is going on in your world. You've got that phone over here, you're doing this here.
I
You
tell
don't have
people
that.
I tell people you can't have your phone here.
Yeah.
It's not an option.
I turned mine off because
Yeah,
I don't want the
mine's in
distraction.
the other room, yeah.
Yeah, you get that distraction, and there's always going to be distractions there. But here, what happens? There's no distraction. 'Cause I'm there, and if there is a distraction, I'm like, hey, is everything okay?
Well, and that's
What's
why I
going
always
on?
wear the headphones. People are like, do I have to wear these? And we've done it different ways.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I tell people, I'm like, it's completely different when you wear the headphones. It dials you in.
Oh, yeah.
It muffles everything. I mean, because we're in an office with other offices around us.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even hear other conversations, doors closed, anything along those lines.
It creates that focus.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So, anything else NIA you want to cover? Because I have got a really good question for you.
Oh, I'll be
Yeah.
the judge of that, but okay. I would say this is NIA is not for everybody. And
Who's it not for?
Who's it not for?
Yeah, who's it not for?
If to me personally, and I am the judge, jury, executioner when it comes to this stuff,
Yeah.
is if you're transactional and that's your business model,
Yeah.
this is probably not going to be the place for you
Sure.
because we really frown on that. We taint the we taint the water.
Yeah,
We don't want those kind of individuals because it's not what we
I
want
think
to be.
most transactional entrepreneurs and business owners typically weed themselves out organically.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
and we just don't want to expose our members to that. I want to
Yeah.
protect our members from those kind of experiences.
Got it.
If you've been in business under 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
God bless you.
Keep going.
Yeah. Show me you can do it. We do have some coaching that we can help you along the way with. We
Mhm.
can help dust you off when you've had some tough times and things like that. But I don't want to put you in a group yet because you don't have the experience necessary to have that knowledge that's going to impart wisdom on other members.
Correct, yeah.
Now you might benefit from them, you probably would, greatly,
Sure.
but it's got to be a two-way street. It can't be unilateral like that. I would also say individuals who just, if we're on a PG-13, just do shitty work.
Yeah.
And we've all come across that person. And if I'm out there and I'm looking at your reviews, and your reviews are 3.5 stars, you're not for it.
Right.
Because you just, I don't want somebody in there who's gonna, if I'm not gonna hire you because I don't think you do good work, why would I expose you to our members?
Yep.
Those are the people that would not work here. If you're looking to elevate your game, you're looking to learn and be, a resource, but also look for resources. Because we all know that person who is the encyclopedia, I'm dating myself with all these comments, right? The encyclopedia, which would be
The chat GBT.
yeah, the Google, and if you, the Google, I like it, when I
Yeah.
say it like that, the Google, I sound like a grandmother or grandfather there, the Google.
Google.
Yeah, but if you only want to share what you know, because you know it all, and you're not welcome for, feedback, you're probably not for the group either.
Right.
Because we all have things to learn. So is it specific? Yes, but could a lot of people benefit? Yes, but you have to fit into those parameters, right?
Right on.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be open, you gotta be willing to have conversations like this.
Yeah. Anything else NIA related you want to cover?
I think we've had enough NIA, right?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because I always try to end everything. This is Michael Beltran. He always wants me to end on a couple things. One of them is, a non-serious question that we always ask and talk about. And so this week we've been asking people, if you could shoot 3 liquids out of your finger, what 3 liquids would that be?
Does it matter which finger?
No.
Like, would this finger, the index be one? And
You
the
could
middle finger
choose
for
whatever
something else?
finger, whatever. It doesn't matter.
I mean, that'd be a lot more fun for me,
Okay.
Okay.
3 liquids.
Fine. I would say, as a good old boy from Kentucky,
Uh-huh.
I'm definitely going to say a whiskey.
Okay.
But not just any kind of whiskey.
Okay.
I think we should be specific here.
Fair
right?
enough.
I'll be specific, not too specific. A rye.
Okay, rye whiskey.
My index finger would be a rye whiskey.
It could just be like the gun, though. You can
Yeah.
just change it. It just can come out of one finger.
Well, I want a specific liquid
Oh,
to come
okay.
out of my middle finger.
Fair enough.
Because
Go
it
on.
doesn't. My middle finger doesn't come out very often. When I actually flip the bird, or whatever, however you want to phrase it, it is one of those. I'm holding myself back from doing something bad.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's as bad as it's going to get, but I'm really holding
Okay.
it back. And for that liquid, I would probably say gin. I'm going with an alcoholic theme, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I need some therapy here. But I would say gin because I hate gin.
Okay.
I used to love gin. I was a big gin fan.
Mm-hmm.
But like anyone else, you've got that
You have
one
that
liquor
one bad
you
night.
have to stay away from.
Yeah.
And for me, it's gin and Jägermeister.
Mm.
And,
Okay.
yeah, Jägermeister. I got a nice scar right here on my forehead from
Jägermeister did that to you, huh?
Jägermeister. It was Jägermeister night at the bar where I went to college,
Uh-huh.
at Ohio University
Yeah.
in Athens, and I was walking back to the fraternity house with my buddy, and I saw, I think it was 2 girls. It could have been just one girl, but I saw her twice because I was that drunk.
Yeah.
And I thought she was attractive, but again, you were drunk.
I
And
think we call that Jaeger goggles.
yeah, right? They're bad. Bad enough that I was looking and checking her out, walked dead into a tree.
Mm.
And my buddy's like, "Oh, are you okay? You okay?" And he's, of course, laughing.
Right.
And I'm standing up, and I just got blood dripping down. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine."
Yeah.
So what do? You wake up the next morning, and your pillowcase is stuck to your forehead because it's dried. Yeah, Jägermeister. Had a very similar gin experience, but I was much older, and I should have known better.
Yeah.
So I would say gin. On that
Gin's
one.
number 2. What's
Yeah.
number 3?
I should say water,
Okay.
because that would make more sense, healthy version of it. But I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be coffee, because there's
Coffee?
days,
That's a
you just
good
need
one.
coffee, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think, and they're all beverages. I'm noticing. I don't know if that's what you were looking for.
That
or
seems to be
something.
what everybody's answering.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, someone said gasoline.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean,
right?
it would take a long time to fill up the car, and I look a little weird doing
I mean,
that.
who knows what kind of pressure you got, man?
Yeah,
you know?
right.
I don't know.
Kind of like that morning go to the bathroom kind of pressure, you know?
We didn't cover that.
Yeah.
I thought gasoline was a good one.
That is a good one. That's interesting.
You know, obviously, I'm a big beer drinker, so you know we'd have to have Lone Star.
Oh.
Just coming right up. Lone Star.
Yeah.
I loved the gasoline one, and then you kind of got me with the coffee. Like,
Yeah.
those weren't my like. Yeah, like I've changed mine like 3 times now.
I'm sure. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you think about it, you get more chance to think about
Right.
it. You might come up with something a little bit more creative.
Right.
Coffee, just, I mean, every morning I like to have my coffee.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah.
Coffee, gasoline, Lone Star.
Lone Star.
What else do I need? Well,
That's-
that's shit. But
yeah.
you know what? If it came out of my finger, that might be a fucking problem. You know?
but the Lone Star wouldn't?
Not like whiskey.
Okay.
No, I could definitely.
You keep going with the whiskey? Well, I guess the beer would fill you up after a bit. You can only get so far.
I mean, it doesn't mean that's all you have to drink or
That's
do
true.
whatever. You know,
Yeah.
you can still drink whiskey. I just don't need it on
You can
tap.
still use your entire hand to pour a drink. You
Right.
can just do this.
Just be
kind of
nice
thing.
to have it
That is
right on
such
tap.
That's such a weirdly unique but fun question.
Right?
The liquids. Okay.
Oh,
That's
there's been
interesting.
quite a few of these questions. One of them actually just got 13,000 views. That one was, would you rather be trapped in a mall
Okay.
with a full-grown male silverback gorilla
Okay.
or 100
Cobras. I've actually seen this going
Oh,
around.
yeah, this
The
one's going viral.
cobras or a silverback gorilla. And that's a good question too. I bet that's an easy one for me. I have a phobia of snakes. I was actually walking my dog one time. Not a problem for me. And I saw what I thought was a snake.
Mm-hmm.
And I screamed. Apparently my voice got really high pitched. I was walking with the mother of my children at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They were really young. This is embarrassing, but it was a knee-jerk reaction. I dropped the leash and I ran, and as I ran, I was pushing her away, like I was pushing her behind me.
The woman of your children or your children?
The woman of my children.
Okay.
This wasn't my children, right? And I pushed her. It turned out to be a big earthworm.
Hmm.
That is how scared of snakes I
Okay.
am. I do not like
So it's
snakes.
definitely silverback gorilla for you.
Yeah, why not? I mean, my dad was 6'7" at one time. He's shrinking. He's getting older,
Right.
and so that silverback's not going to beat me any worse than he did when I did bad things, and he beat me a lot.
I
So-
just feel like.
but he's a good guy. I should say that in case he
Right.
watches this. I love him to death. I probably deserve that and then some. But yeah,
I just feel like keeping tabs on one gorilla would be a lot easier than 100 cobras.
right?
You know, so it's like
Yeah.
you know you're not gonna win against the silverback gorilla, but I feel like maybe you could like set some traps or something.
Or just avoid them. I mean, you're in a
Yeah.
mall, just keep walking around, but you got 100 cobras. They're probably not in just one area.
Well,
They're
that's what everyone
all
says. Like
over
just
the
avoid
place.
them, and it's like, well, you know, cobras or silver, they're gonna get hungry,
Sure.
and you know, eventually that
But
gorilla.
how many
is-
malls have you been to that didn't have a food court? He's gonna find something to eat. And besides,
But you're stuck. Like
yeah, but silverbacks aren't carnivorous either. They're herbivores.
that's true.
So I
What a
think you're okay.
stupid question.
Yeah. Right? What the hell? But a snake's gonna eat you either. I mean,
Yeah,
cobras aren't
well,
gonna
yeah,
eat you.
cobras aren't gonna
She's gonna
eat you
bite
either.
you.
But
You know?
they're gonna, I feel like silverback gorilla would bind you.
But you could also, and I've seen enough shows
Yeah.
on the Discovery Channel with children stuff, but just be submissive. Don't make eye contact. Hunch down.
Is that what you do?
Yeah, and that'll leave you alone.
It's like I saw Cocaine Bear recently.
How was that? I actually
Just as good as it
almost,
sounds, man.
right? I almost wanted to see that.
Oh,
God.
it was, you know, it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it is.
But in the very beginning, when the bear shows up, it's like brown get down, black bear scare, brown get down.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to kind of like you said, like be submissive to a brown bear, and a black
Yeah.
bear is supposed to do like try to scare it
Yeah.
because they're a little more skittish. I had a black bear come up on us at a campsite when I was probably like 11 or 12 years old.
Yeah.
We're sitting around a campfire in Pennsylvania in the Allegheny Forest, and I'm sitting there and we're we just got in there and it just got dark. We had our big cooler out, and I want to say we were just like roasting marshmallows or something like that. And all of a sudden, my
Is
dad.
that what you called it?
What's that?
Roasting marshmallows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
what do you do with you roast marshmallows?
Sure. Or you toast them.
Toast.
Yeah.
Roast.
Roast.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Because roasting is solid.
Yeah.
It's
Good
in there.
point, good
Just-
point.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're toasting marshmallows, and my dad shines a flashlight behind me because we're sitting like this, and he
Yeah.
goes, "Don't move. There's a bear behind you." And
Is your dad the guy who would also kind of prank you? mess with
Exactly.
you a bit? Okay.
So I'm 11
Yeah.
years old, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. He's like, no, I'm serious. I'm like, sure. So I have my flashlight, and I turn around, and I shine the light, and there is a huge black bear right behind me, probably about maybe 6 or 8 feet away.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. He's like, all right, everybody just get up. We're going to calmly walk to the cabin. You know, don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
And my, like, 83-year-old grandmother is with us. My dad's mom, right? And so, of course...
Tell me you were thinking, I just gotta be faster than her.
That's it. Just got out on the ground. So, you know, we're like walking her in the house. We're all being quiet, and this bear came. We had one of those big, you know, fishing coolers just full of steaks and dogs and burgers and everything. We were going to be there for an entire week, and there's like 6 of us, you
I
know.
feel like that's foreshadowing. We were going to.
We were still
Okay.
there. And this bear flipped this cooler and for about an hour ate every single bit of food that we had brought for the entire week, just devoured it. And we had to go grocery shopping the next day. My parents were pissed.
Yeah, but I mean, that sure beats the alternative, right?
That's true. That's
No?
true.
That's a fair trade.
So then we called the ranger to let him know.
Uh-huh.
And I remember my dad being like, well, he's on the phone, you know, and he's like, you don't have to do that. And he gets off the phone, they're gonna hunt down the bear and kill it. And
Oh, wow.
and they were like, apparently they've gotten calls about this bear, and like the more they start doing this, the more
Yeah.
confident they get, and all it's gonna take is some cowboy to be like, wait, bear.
Yeah.
And now
Next
you
thing
got
you
a
know-
real problem on your hands.
Yeah, they
You
get
know?
too familiar, too comfortable.
Right, so I guess they were gonna go find Yogi, make sure he wasn't stealing
That's-
no
that's-
more picnic baskets.
That's what I was picturing in my head. The Yogi Bear, when you say call
Yeah.
the ranger, you know, like, Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Boo boo.
Well, Charles, we gotta wrap it up, my
Absolutely.
friend. You believe that we've been on for an hour and 15 minutes?
Holy cow, it feels
It's
like 2.
time flies when you're
I'm just
the first
kidding.
person to say that.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was good hanging out here with
Well,
you.
I'm
I'm glad I was the 51st.
Yeah, I mean we're over 50 at this point. I mean you're
Okay.
under 55, right around you're at the 50 mark. I end every podcast when everyone's on the first time to just give a look in the camera, tell us who you are, what you do, and what everyone needs to know, and we'll cut it.
Okay. Charles Heinzelman, I connect people.
Boom.
Boom.
Short and
Mic drop.
simple.
Yeah,
All
right?
right, man.
Boom,
Thanks for
boom.
coming on.
Hey, appreciate you.
Yeah.